Hello, listeners. This is Kat. Welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfic. This is the continuation of See You in the Morning. This will be Part 13, Chapter 13, entitled We All Want a Home. It's early the next day when Shota gets the text from Tsukuji saying that all the charges have been filed and an investigation had opened up. Shota slides his phone over to Zashi, who is currently chatting with an enthusiastic Midori, so that his husband can also read the news. Midori hardly even notices the interaction, too busy explaining to Mike why Endeavor is using his quirk all wrong, an expression of disgruntlement flitting across the green teen's face as he laments about all the number 2 hero's property damage, civilian casualties, and villain casualties compared to the other fire-quirked pro-heroes. For all that his husband is expressive and open, he manages to simply smile a bit brighter and shake his hands out happily when reading the text, because this means that Nezu can now start their papers. They needed to wait until the case had been opened in order to file for custody of their neighbor. Shota sends out a text to Nezu informing him, and all he gets back is a scene notification. His boss literally left him on red. After giving his phone a pinched look, Shota goes back to watching the two sunshines in the room chat, the topic now being on Mirko and her debut, as well as how she has such high ratings while being a fighting and verbally abrasive hero. Eventually, though, the kid stops talking as animatedly, and his shoulders start to hunch inward second by second, his green eyes becoming alight with a nervous energy and avoiding Hisashi and his eyes, hands fiddling in his lap rather than flying through the air as he tries to describe with vague motions the concepts he's talking about. Eventually the kid falls silent completely, just staring at his hands in his lap. They wait. He'll speak up when he's done thinking, and Shota will intervene if he notices anything concerning, for right now the kid just seems stuck in his head. Takes a couple of more minutes where Shota and Hisashi quietly chat, but the kid finally speaks up. "Where am I going when I'm released later today?" It's mumbled, and the kid's shoulders come up toward his ears, even more after asking. The kid honestly looks like he is expecting to get hit for asking, and Shota can feel his heart clench painfully at the notion. "Well?" Zashi pauses, meeting his eyes, and Shota nods encouragingly at the blonde. "Well, we were hoping you'd like to come home with us, little listener." At this, the kid completely uncurls, seemingly too shocked by Zashi's response to remember to be on the defensive, his green eyes staring up at the blonde hero, like a person seeing the sun for the first time. It honestly hurts to see the teen look so surprised that they want him. You want me to?" "Yes, Midori, yes. We want you to come home with us, little listener." "If you want to. Don't feel pressured, kiddo, but like Zashi said, we would love it if you'd come home with us." "Why?" The kid's voice cracks and wobbles like he's trying not to cry. "Why would you want me? I'm quirkless, and no one else wanted me." "Oh, listener. Kiddo, we want you. I promise, we want you. We would love for you to come home with us." Home. Izuku hadn't really had a home since he was 3. Before he was diagnosed, before his dad had left him and Inko, before Inko's apartment became a shell of what it used to be, before Inko herself left Izuku. Izuku had his apartment, and he loves it, but it's not a home. It's his apartment, and that's it. The closest thing to having a home Izuku had had since he was 3 was the quirky cafe with Sasha and Hinto and Fuwashi and Hihata and Goji and Yae and so many others. The cafe was his home, and wasn't that sad. He's a teenager whose only home has been a cafe where he works under the table. Not that he would ever trade the cafe for anything and isn't grateful for having it to call his home, but Izuku's aware it's not normal either. He knows most teens around him have parents, or at least guardians. They have food in the kitchen, and they don't have to forge papers upon papers for anything and everything just to keep a roof over his head. They don't have blurred memories of living on the cold streets and getting beaten by business owners who had caught him trying to take food from their garbage bins. They didn't dread their birthday because their mom would always scream at them that day about wishing that they were never born or had died before they turned 4. Most kids had a home and a family of some sort, and Izuku had always envied them for that. Even if he would never want his parents to return to try to create a home with him, they had done too much damage for Izuku to ever want to see either of them ever again. So Izuku had his apartment with just him, and the cafe where he had a whole community of people to call family. So he had contented himself with that. It was more than 4-year-old Izuku had ever dreamed that they would have growing up when reading the statistics on the quirkless population by himself after his diagnosis for the first time. But now Eraser and Present Mike were offering him a home. They were saying that he was wanted, that they wanted him. Maybe it's because of all the ups and downs of the past handful of days, or because Izuku has always been an easy crier when it comes to emotions, but the tears are welling up and he can't stop them. Soon bawling into Eraser's chest as he babbles about wanting a home and the cats at their apartment and how tired he is. Really, Izuku had no idea what he's saying, but everything is too much. Plus, the checkup with his healer's quirk that was used on him a little while ago was supposed to cause a small loss of self-restraint as a side effect, sort of like taking a shot or being given painkillers. So Izuku feels justified in blaming the healer's quirk for his inability to speak and bawling all over his neighbors. But really, Izuku probably would have been like this, quirk side effects or no, because he wants a home. He has to tell them that. He wants to go home with them, even if part of him wants to claw out his hair for being so vulnerable, for wanting to be vulnerable. Izuku ignores the feeling. He trusts them. They've stayed. They want to stay. Izuku wants to stay. Taking a deep breath, or a few, Izuku tries to calm down enough to tell them that. Because they deserve to know. Izuku can feel how tense the two are, and when he glances up, he sees them exchanging worried looks over Izuku's head. He needs to breathe normally so they can all be as happy as Izuku's feeling. So he counts, taking practiced manual breaths and clicking his own fingers together alongside the numbers. His tears slow, and Izuku's trying to sit up and wipe his face of the tears, still slightly raw emotionally, though he chalks it up to being emotionally strung out and the side effects of being healed recently. He sits face to face with the two heroes, his two neighbors, the first two people who aren't quirkless or blue stars, who he trusts. I want to live with you. If you'll have me, of course. Then Izuku's being pulled into another hug, this time with a crying Present Mic and a grinning Eraser. Izuku starts crying again, too. Fuck off, it's all a lot to take in. During their crying and hugging, none of the trio noticed Shota's phone lighting up with a text from Nezu. It's a simple photo, attachment of their foster papers being approved. But they haven't seen it yet, too busy basking in their shared joy at Izuku accepting the idea of living with them. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 13 of See You in the Morning. Chapter 14 is next. Hope you all are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.